Hello and welcome. Happy Friday. Just gonna give a couple moments for people to arrive live, hopefully. How are you doing out there? Hello, hello. Welcome. How are you this morning? Hello, hello. Welcome. Nice to see you here live. My name is Dr. Leah Taylor, and we are going to be talking about reimagining the holidays today. So I'm very excited about this topic, and it was actually inspired by a podcast episode that just came out today. For anybody who doesn't know, I have a podcast on Osiris Pod called Groove Therapy that I host with my co-host Tara Lee Weathers. And it is all about the intersection between live music and health and wellness, and how important the experience of live music is for our health and wellness. But this episode that just came out today, called Holiday Wellness, is more focused on the wellness piece and less about live music. So it can apply to anybody, whether or not you consider yourself to be an avid live music fan or not. But we are approaching that time of year. Today is December 16th. Hanukkah is about to start on the 18th, and then we have Christmas coming up. We have the New Year, and this is really a time where people are starting their traditions. There's lots of parties that are happening. So I just wanted to come on here and kind of set out the option that you can imagine your holiday season to be whatever it is that you want it to be. So if you could create your own perfect holiday, what would it look like? Because the thing is that we actually have a choice. And I think that we forget about that sometimes. So I love to really empower the people that I work with to play an active role in their own lives. Usually it's with their health and wellness. But it can be about the choices that you make every day, right? Because that's what creates our health and wellness, are the choices that we make every day. And there are some particular challenges around the holiday season that are not as big for the rest of the year. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. And again, just really be here to be a champion and a support for you in creating the holiday season that will most support you. So first, let's talk a little bit about the challenges of why this doesn't happen, why people kind of get into their typical patterns during the holiday season. Well, one is because most of our behaviors are driven by unconscious beliefs and patterns. And that is especially true if we have not started doing the work in our everyday life to increase our mindfulness, to increase our presence, to increase our ability to really tap into what is true for us. And if you would like to start doing that more and more, I definitely have some opportunities for you to do that with me in the new year. Both of my programs, Free Your Mind and Realign, are both really about helping you to become more present, helping you to take a more active role in your own life that is not based upon unconscious beliefs and patterns. So Free Your Mind is specifically focused on really learning and embodying the practice of mindfulness, which is all about being in the present moment without judgment. And then Realign is just a little bit more encompassing and an opportunity for more individualized support. And that is also includes some healing of letting go of those unconscious beliefs and patterns. So if you'd like to find out more about that, you can absolutely check those out. Actually, I don't have the sales page out for them yet because I'm in pre-sale right now. So if you're interested in that, send me a DM for more information. If you're watching this live later, then you can probably find it in my bio under my link tree. So unconscious beliefs and patterns, the reason that they are so tricky during the holidays is because we have these traditions that we do, with our family most of the time. Of course, there are going to be some exceptions to this, but most of the time, the holiday season comes with its own set of rules, right? own set of rules that we learn from our family. In addition to those traditions, we also have our patterns of how we relate to our family members. So we have these traditions that we've learned from them that we will probably use in our own family, whether we are now partnered and have kids, or we're living on our own. We still have these traditions, these beliefs, these patterns that, whether we're visiting our family or not, are still going to come into play as something that we feel like we have to do, that we should do, that we just automatically do. And so we have these kind of patterns and belief systems that we picked up from our family in the form of traditions, but then we also have the relating with our family, which can trigger so many things, because a relationship is reciprocal, right? It's not just one person. You're relating to another person. And we get into these ways of being, especially with our family of origin, that can be very young patterns that, allowed us to get by and to survive when we were younger, but they're not actually how we want to show up in our adult life. But we end up kind of going back into them because we don't come at it in a conscious way. We just show up and we're like, okay, I'm going to be with the family. This is going to be terrible, but this is what I have to do. I just have to hunker down for these 5 days and get through this. But there is actually an opportunity to bring a little bit more consciousness to the experience and to begin to choose and imagine how you want to be. Over these last few years of COVID, we have had such a huge opportunity to really begin to break habitual patterns, because we weren't able to operate in the same way that we were pre-COVID, right? Because there's this thing that we do where we just kind of go through life and we just keep doing the same things that we do and do and do, because we don't take an opportunity to, we just go on autopilot, right? We just start doing things because that's the way that we do them. The other piece, the other challenge that is particularly present during the holidays is that when we are under stress, so when our stress response is activated, we don't actually have access to our prefrontal cortex like we do when we are more relaxed, which our prefrontal cortex is what allows us to think strategically and to be able to really look at a situation with kind of like a bird's eye view, as opposed to just reacting by, raw emotion or by unconscious beliefs. So the holidays bring just a myriad of challenges that, in having our stress response activated so that we're not actually able to take a pause and choose how to respond instead of just reacting to things because they're coming at us and this is just what we do. And also we are with our family of origin, which then we get into patterns, whether it's with our mom or with our dad or with our siblings, where we start playing out this relationship that looks like it did when we were younger, but now we're 35 years old, 40 years old, and we don't actually show up in that way in our lives. But when we get back to our family, it starts happening again. So those are the challenges in the holidays. And the opportunity that, again, we have had over these last couple of years when we were maybe not able to see our family in the same way. And we also had an opportunity to begin to break patterns, to come inside, to reconnect with ourselves and to say, you know what? Okay, the whole world has kind of blown up. My whole life has had to rearrange. How do I want to show up now that there's an opportunity to perhaps show up in a different way? So what did you learn about yourself over these last couple of years? What did you maybe do last year or the year before for the holidays that was maybe more authentic to you and less about pleasing everybody else? And how can you take some of that out into your holidays this season? Because it feels like this season is more about things going back to normal and everybody's traveling again and people are going to see their families, which is amazing and fantastic. but you don't have to have it go back to the way that it was before. If that was not serving you, if that did not feel good to you, if you left your family after those 5 days and you were so exhausted and you were feeling like your inner child was running the show as opposed to your 35 or 40-year-old self, then this is an opportunity to be able to do something differently. So those are the challenges, to just kind of like really expose them and to shine a light on them. And then the opportunity is to really set yourself up for success, right? So some of the ways that you can do that is just taking an opportunity to reflect on, what have you learned about yourself over these last couple of years? How would you like to spend your holiday season? Did you know that you can have a holiday that is easeful and fun as opposed to stressful and activating? That is possible, but you have to believe it to be so. And it's also important to be able to see it. So I commit to you to show up as an example of how a holiday can be easeful and fun. I have no idea if I'm going to accomplish this 100%, but that is my commitment to myself. And that is my commitment to you. Because when you can see somebody living it out day by day by day by day, you know that it can be true. It's like seeing to believing, right? And I have so many people tell me that I am an inspiration for them in the way that I show up for myself and I show up for my health. And so I really want to continue to like pull back the curtain so that I can show you that there is a different way. And that when we are able to, first of all, get clear on what we want that way to look like, then be able to have practices, whatever it is, that we can continue to come back to ourselves again and again and again. Because here's the other thing, and especially for people who are more energetically sensitive, we get around other people and we can take on their stuff, right? We begin to people please, or we begin to take on energy that's not ours, or we step into a room that's highly activated and all of a sudden we're activated ourselves, right? But how can we actually be able to manage our energy and to kind of center ourselves, to balance ourselves, which is what the Realign program is all about. So that when we walk into that room, we are not pulled this way and that way. We are actually like hold this inner power that is unshakable. And then we have the opportunity to be able to, sorry, my internet is going out a little bit, to choose how we respond as opposed to just reacting in these ways that we always react, especially when we're around our family, which can be very triggering. So let's see. Setting yourself up for success is very important in, just getting really clear on how you want to bring yourself to the holidays, what you want them to look like, and then also taking the time to make sure that you take a pause so that in addition to not getting pulled into these kind of unconscious beliefs and patterns that are so easy to get pulled into during this time of year, you also have the ability to be able to regulate your nervous system, because when you walk into a situation with a regulated nervous system, then you're not pulled into that primitive part of your brain that's just reacting by that raw emotion, and you actually have access to this cognitive part where you can really be able to respond in a way that you want to. So that is what I would like to share for you about reimagining your holidays. I would love to hear one thing that you would most like to experience this holiday season. Maybe it is ease. I know for me, that's really what I am calling in, is to have this holiday season be filled with ease. We're traveling to New Hampshire. it is something that I'm going with my husband and my son. My husband does not like the cold. So it's going to be really interesting, and we're going to be there with my mom and her husband. So there's a lot of opportunity to kind of be pulled by other people and their needs and what's happening. But my intention is to show up with ease. And as I mentioned before, my commitment to you is to be able to kind of give you like a little backstage pass into how I am showing up with ease. Because when you can see that happening from another person, you know that it is possible for your life too. So I'd love for you to share with me what is something you would like to experience this holiday season so that I can help support you in that. Because the more and more we can create this in our own lives, it gives other people permission to show up in the way that they want to in their lives. And I want to say, I was talking about traditions earlier, and traditions are amazing and fantastic. It's so good to be able to pass things down from generation to generation to generation. Like, that's really important, to have that ancestral connection and to have those traditions. But just because there is a tradition does not mean that it needs to continue in the same way. This is a huge piece that I work on with people, is how does it make you feel, right? How do you feel after? If it is draining to you, if it is feeling icky to you, if it is not feeling aligned to you and who you are right now, then you can at least tweak it to make it more appropriate for you at this time. And maybe you still keep the story of how it used to be and why it used to be that way. But you are changing, the world is changing, and things do not just have to stay the same just because that's the way they've always been. So thank you for being here. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I hope you have an amazing and beautiful holiday season. And please just post a word of how you'd like to feel this holiday season. Connect with me if you have any questions about this. Definitely check out the Groove Therapy podcast episode that just came out today. Holiday Wellness, you can find that in my bio if you go to my link tree. And if you're interested in learning more about Realign or Free Your Mind, that will be starting in the new year, I'd love to tell you about that too. So thanks everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.